Let me begin by summarizing Genesis 27 with this phrase, a father's blessing. Here in Genesis 27, we find that Isaac is on his deathbed. His beloved wife, Rebekah, is by his side. His twin boys, Esau and Jacob, are grown men now, and sadly are still vying for their father's attention. Moms have a way of getting their way, and mom's favorite was Jacob. And in Isaac's old age, his eyesight is gone, and before he enters into eternity, he prepares to give his blessing to Esau, the older twin. Then Isaac said to Jacob, "Come closer so I can touch you and make sure that you really are Esau." So Jacob went closer to his father, and Isaac touched him. The voice is Jacob's, but the hands are Esau's, Isaac said. But he did not recognize Jacob because Jacob's hands felt hairy, just like Esau's. So Isaac prepared to bless Jacob. "But are you really my son, Esau?" he asked. "Yes, I am," Jacob replied. The Bible could say there, Jacob lied. Isaac is suspicious, but he couldn't deny how the skin felt. And as a result, Isaac blesses Jacob with promises of prosperity and dominion. So God directly reveals this to Rebekah prior to the birth. And that last line is the key. In that culture, the older son always had priority. They had inheritance, leadership, they had blessing. But God announced a reversal before either boy had been born, before either one had done anything good or bad. His choice of Jacob was sovereign and gracious. It was not based on merit. So when Rebekah pushes Jacob to receive Isaac's blessing in Genesis 27, she isn't inventing God's will, but she's using dishonesty and manipulation to force what God had already promised. But she goes farther than she should, and it leads to deceit and blatant lying. Oh, she trusted the prophecy. She just didn't trust God's timing or methods. And we do the same thing at times. Sometimes we think that, well, we just have to give God a nudge so that things get done the way we think they're supposed to unfold. But God will unfold his will in his time, and it becomes a lesson in trust. And what Rebekah does is clearly a bad thing. And notice she lost her child over it. She advised Jacob to run away. And for the next 14 years, he will be in Padan Aram. And to the best of our knowledge, Jacob never sees his mom again. And when you intervene and you play God, you endanger losing what you love. Chapter 29 could quickly be summarized with the phrase, "You will reap what you have sown." And Jacob arrives in Haran and meets Rachel, Laban's daughter, at a well. And he falls in love with Rachel. And back then you had to earn the right for a father to give you the daughter's hand in marriage. So Jacob agrees to work 7 years for Laban in order to get the privilege of getting to marry Rachel. Laban deceives Jacob and he pulls the old switcheroo. And he slides in another one of his daughters, his older daughter, Leah, instead of Rachel. But you see what's happening here. The one who tricked his father into the blessing and birthright is now on the receiving end of a major deception. The deceiver has been deceived. It's poetic justice. But Jacob takes it in stride and then agrees to work for Laban another 7 years in order to get to marry Rachel. So here's the takeaway. God uses imperfect people to carry out his perfect plan. And God wants to use even the embarrassing parts and the lowest sections of your story. God tells the stories, the best stories, and the most unlikely storytellers are the ones who tell his story. He just wants you to trust that he's still writing your story. Hey, listen to me. Never allow Satan to place a period where God chooses to place a comma. Your story isn't over yet. If you're still breathing, then he's still writing. And here's the good news. He's still using imperfect people today. In fact, that's the only ones that he's got to choose from. God uses Jacob and his story to lead us to salvation through his descendant, Jesus Christ. And God wants to use your story to help lead someone else to salvation.